These days, there is virtually nothing that Republicans and Democrats can agree on, but there is one thing that they seem to want to know about together. That's aliens. Do they really exist? You've probably seen the grainy videos of UFOs flying in the sky and then disappearing. Any day now, the Pentagon is expected to finally give Congress that detailed report about what they call unidentified aerial phenomena. Now, tell us exactly what we're seeing in these videos. We don't really know. This isn't one of them. You know, this is what we used to think about aliens. But let's talk about this now with Dr. Stephen Greer, founder of the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence and the Disclosure Project. Dr. Greer, it is an honor to talk to you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be with you again.
All right. So I've been an early adapter to this stuff. You know, Edgar Mitchell, the former Apollo astronaut, was the first person that really kind of sat me down and told me once upon a time that he believed that there was something else out there, and we would be almost ignorant if we didn't believe in all of the expansive universe that there was something else out there. But President Trump gave the Pentagon 180 days to gather everything we know about these UAPs, and we are waiting now for this report. Is there anything in here that's going to be surprising to you, considering as much research as you've done on this?
Well, I think my big concern, and of course this was actually an issue that goes back a very long time, even when I had astronaut Mitchell with me at the Pentagon briefing the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and that is the people putting this report together probably have not been granted access to what are called unacknowledged special access projects, or USAPs. Those are the deep black projects that have dealt with this issue since at least the 1950s. So it's very likely that the report is going to be some minimal sort of, we don't really know yet what these are, in large part because I know when I briefed the director of the CIA for Bill Clinton, he had been completely denied access to those projects. Now, this sounds unbelievably illegal, and it is. And I think that this is why whatever is in this report, it is certainly not going to be comprehensive. I think even the classified part of it, because I deal with people on the Senate Intelligence Committee and others, will probably be some little 40,000 foot high snapshot of what's actually going on. What I've tried to do over the last 30 years is collect over 900 top secret military and corporate aerospace folks together to try to create a picture of what's actually going on and bypassing the normal channels. And what we have found is that if the New York Times report is correct, there are three big misrepresentations that will be in this report. The first one is we don't know what these objects are. We do. I have a letter from the head of the Lockheed Skunk Works, a super secret aerospace engineering group, from Ben Rich that states in 1986 they are both man-made and extraterrestrial. End of discussion. Number two, the other thing that's going to be in there that's a misrepresentation is that we don't have anything in our military that can move that way. Our analysis of most of the videos that have been released to date on the CNN and other media are in fact Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman classified aircraft that are quote unquote anti-gravity.
Let me ask you about something too, because one of the things that a lot of people want to know, including myself, is if we're going to learn about some kind of material that has been used. It's called element 115. It's often referred to as that, and this is what would allow these aircraft to do this type of stuff. Any indication if we're going to learn anything about that?
I don't know if it'll be granular at that level of, say, 115, as some people have mentioned that that's one of the aspects of the propulsion system. I'm not convinced that that's a central part of it, actually. I think it's mostly very high voltage electromagnetic fields that these craft are using for propulsion and energy. But more likely it's going to be more of this, well, we don't really know what they are. And the other thing that's a really great concern is that they keep spinning this story as if it's some sort of national security threat. Well, it was concluded many, many decades ago that, in fact, they are not a national security threat. The threat, however, if you look at a letter written by the first CIA director to the New York Times in the early 1960s, Roscoe Admiral Hillenkoetter, he stated that the secrecy around this issue, because it was being run illegally, is a threat to the national security.
We'll have to follow up with you, Dr. Greer. I'm sorry we are out of time. We'll have to leave it there. I hate to cut you off. We will have you back, though, because I am fascinated about this. Dr. Stephen Greer for us, talking about these UAPs.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.